I just saw that Kelsey Mitchell's injured. I got to look more into that before talking about it. But a lot of people were joking about how Caitlin Clark is running. A lot of people were joking about how Caitlin Clark in their training practice footage, how she is running, the speed she's kind of going at, and they're like, oh, I've heard people saying she runs like an old woman. And I'm like, well, clearly there's something bothering her. And again, I think she's going to be good day one for the season. I don't think she plays on Saturday. Like, the fact is, when you've got your coach saying she's very limited is not a good sign. That is not a good sign at all, especially when it comes to, like, it doesn't seem like she has an injury. It's just tightness.
Well, folks, grab your ice packs and emotional support snacks because Stephanie White just dropped a bombshell on Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. And let's just say it's not exactly sunshine and slam dunks. Did someone order a side of chaos with their basketball season? Because this update is spicier than a ref's bad call in overtime. What happened? Who's limping? Who's furious? And why is everyone suddenly Googling WNBA injury curse?
Update that we have directly from the source in Caitlin Clark, talking about the left leg injury, the tightness she has been dealing with, but she downplayed it. Didn't seem to be too concerned with it, said maybe too much time in the gym has been led to it. So she just got to be smart, has to be smart about recovery, but
Caitlin Clark limping off just days before her sky is falling showdown with Angel Reese. Oh no, not today. Basketball gods, not today. Somewhere in Chicago, Angel Reese probably popped popcorn and pulled up courtside to her phone screen like it was a Marvel movie premiere. And honestly, can you blame her? Because just when the WNBA was gearing up for the most anticipated rookie showdown since Brittany versus Christina, if they played power forward and could hit step-back threes, Caitlin's ankle decided it wanted to sit this one out and take a nap.
Meanwhile, there's another story that doesn't make you go, aw, and that is the update on Caitlin Clark from Fever practice, head coach Stephanie White. Now, I'm not going to blow this out of proportion because this is normal run-of-the-mill stuff, but it's certainly worth covering and certainly worth following. So we know that the Fever, out of nowhere, we got the injury report on Caitlin Clark before the first preseason game against the Mystics, which she missed. It caught us all by surprise because there was no indication there was anything amiss.
And who do we have delivering the news? None other than Stephanie White, head coach, injury update deliverer, and now unofficial dream crusher. She stepped up like the Grim Reaper with a clipboard and said, in not so many words, "Welp, something might be wrong. Good luck sleeping tonight, Fever fans." There she was, the bearer of bad news, casually confirming the worst possible scenario with the grace of a sword-wielding executioner. You could practically hear the collective groan of fans as they processed what was clearly the most anxiety-inducing update of the season. And just like that, the weight of uncertainty settled in, making everyone's future hopes feel about as fragile as a house of cards in a hurricane.
So today, lads, we're going to be talking about Caitlin Clark and the injury. The injury that Caitlin Clark has had, that she may or may not be ready to play on Saturday. But there are...
Now, before we all go into full panic mode and start planning Caitlin Clark candlelight vigils, let's take a deep breath and remember, it might just be a minor tweak, a precautionary hobble, a polite little limp. Maybe her shoe was tied too tight. Maybe she stepped on a Lego. Maybe she just wanted a break from dragging the entire Fever franchise on her back during the preseason because, let's face it, she's practically been doing that single-handedly. A little rest never hurt anyone, right? It's not like we're dealing with a full-on season-ending catastrophe. So, let's calm down, folks, and stop scheduling emergency press conferences over a mild inconvenience.
Okay, so first off, let's talk about Caitlin's injury because this is just something we should just get off the table. And in practice yesterday, she did bump knees with one of the guys that they were playing a scrimmage with. A lot of people started crashing out because, her health is of the utmost importance to so many people and, so many games and possibly even the whole league. I don't know.
But of course, in typical sports fan fashion, Twitter exploded faster than a microwave burrito at 3 a.m. Loud, messy, and somehow smelling of desperation. Within seconds of Caitlin Clark limping off the court, the internet transformed into an unlicensed orthopedic ward, diagnosing injuries with the confidence of someone who once watched half an episode of Grey's Anatomy. "Caitlin's done for the season," one tweet screamed, complete with a broken heart emoji and 3 crying faces for dramatic effect. She tore her ACL, her MCL, and probably her Netflix password too, another user claimed, while someone else declared, "Angel Reese won by default," as if that's how competitive sports work now, via social media polls and overreactions. Calm down, Karen from Indiana City. No need to alert the Vatican. We're not canonizing Angel Reese just yet. The woman tweaked her ankle. That's it. Not her spine, not her soul, not the fabric of reality. Just a minor ankle twist. Something every athlete has experienced right before walking it off like a boss. Sports injuries happen, but Caitlin's not being airlifted to Area 51. Maybe give the facts 5 minutes to breathe before turning the moment into a Greek tragedy narrated by ESPN's drama division.
Honestly, when I'm in practice, I'm full go. I'm not limited in any regard. Whatever drills I'm in the last 2 days, I've been pretty active, and there's no reason to overdo anything right now. It's been the beginning of the season. Still don't play here for another week, but the last 2 days have been really, really good for myself.
You know where it started? What caused it to get her in the first place?
Probably just a little too much basketball. I think, I love being in the gym, but I think understanding when to be in the gym and, when to recover and things like that. So I think just finding a balance and obviously just getting back into the swing of things. But yeah, it was nothing major or anything like that.
And let's talk about this Fever versus Sky rivalry that's being hyped harder than a Mayweather fight. On one side, you've got Caitlin Clark, the basketball wizard with range so deep it should require a telescope. On the other, Angel Reese, the self-proclaimed Bayou Barbie turned Windy City enforcer, with more confidence than a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. If these two had promo trailers, they'd make the Avengers look like an indie film. This was supposed to be the game, the WNBA's version of Taylor versus Kanye, except with rebounds and fewer microphones being snatched. And now, there's a chance one half of that spectacle might be sitting courtside in an orthopedic boot, holding an ice pack and watching her dreams roll away in a wheelchair. The timing couldn't be more tragic if Shakespeare wrote the script himself. Caitlin finally gets to the big stage. The lights are on, the popcorn is popping, and bam. Ankle betrayal. It's like training for the Olympics for 4 years, then slipping on a banana peel in the opening ceremony. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is probably out here doing defensive slides in her living room like it's game time, whispering, "Come on, be okay, I want the smoke."
Oh, Rob, Caitlin Clark sat out the first preseason game because of some tightness in her leg. She played the second game. You can tell she wasn't 100%. She wasn't moving as quickly as she normally does, but she played fine, so she isn't that injured. But there's some caution based upon what Stephanie White had to say. She was limited in practice, and I'll play that for you.
And while we're at it, let's not forget about poor Kelsey Mitchell. Yes, her too, because apparently the basketball gods weren't satisfied with just one injury scare this week. No, that would have been far too merciful. Instead, they decided to spice things up by tossing Kelsey Mitchell into the chaos mix, just for fun. Because what's a WNBA season without a side of emotional whiplash for Fever fans? She's now dealing with an ankle issue. Because of course she is. Why wouldn't she be? It's practically a team tradition at this point. The moment someone starts heating up, boom, ankle drama. Now Fever fans are left pacing their living rooms, clutching foam fingers like rosaries and considering staging a full-blown exorcism in the locker room. Bring in the crystals, burn the sage, chant the mantras. Whatever it takes. Because when your star guard starts limping and your rookie phenom is already questionable, the only logical next step is to assume your backcourt is held together by hope and duct tape. Honestly, it's not even basketball anymore. It's survival. And the ligaments? They're clearly in a group chat plotting revenge.
It's Fever injury update day. That seems to be the major concern around the team right now is the health of its star players. Obviously, Caitlin Clark being at the top of that list. Kelsey Mitchell, though, as well. And we got a little bit of a status update on both of those players from Fever practice.
Concerns with Kelsey's finger. She seems fine with it and just playing through it.
I forget about Kelsey's finger because, she was playing great with it overseas too. Certainly Her shot's a little funky in the way that it releases anyway, and I think that she's learned to protect it. So for her, it's like she's efficient, she's effective. Until she starts complaining about it hurting, no concerns.
But let's be honest. The Fever didn't draft Caitlin Clark to sit on the bench icing her foot and watching Angel Reese rack up steals like it's a clearance sale. This is not the content we signed up for. We came for buzzer beaters, deep threes, trash talk, and post-game tweets that cause world wars in the comment section. We didn't come for limps, tweaks, and day-to-day nonsense that sounds more vague than your ex's apology text. And oh, the headlines. Sports blogs are now running with more dramatic flair than soap operas. Caitlin Clark injury. Is the season over before it even began? Next thing you know, someone's going to Photoshop her in a wheelchair next to a crying Michael Jordan meme and declare the Fever season cursed by ancient basketball spirits. Let's dial it back, folks. It's likely just a minor tweak. Caitlin's ankle probably just wanted to remind everyone that it too deserves attention. You know how athletes' bodies sometimes say, "Hey, remember me? I'm not a robot. Take a seat for a minute." Hopefully, it's one of those diva ankle moments that just wants a quick foot massage and an Instagram story caption.
Which could genuinely come down to her being, obviously, again, her trying to ramp it up, and if she's put on a lot of upper body bulk, that could affect it. A lot of things. So, you see here, the Fever are being super cautious. The Fever coach Stephanie White said she's making great progress. This is from Chloe Peterson at the Indy Star.
Still, it's hard not to panic. Fever fans have had the calendar circled for that Sky matchup since draft day. This isn't just a game, it's a cinematic universe. Reese versus Clark is practically becoming a franchise. Caitlin's long-range heroics versus Angel's relentless paint dominance, that's popcorn-worthy every time. You don't cancel Infinity War over a sprained toe. But let's not write the eulogy just yet. Caitlin is built like a competitor from an 80s sports movie montage. She probably went straight from the court to an ice bath and back to the gym in a walking boot doing shooting drills. The girl eats criticism for breakfast and probably sleeps with a basketball under her pillow. A little ankle flare-up isn't going to derail her quest to torch every WNBA defense that underestimated her. And Kelsey Mitchell? She's not exactly a backup singer, folks. That woman is a certified bucket. She'll probably duct tape her ankle, hit 5 threes, and limp back to the locker room like, "Yeah, I did that." These are athletes, not porcelain dolls. Although, at this point, the Fever medical staff is probably wrapping everyone in bubble wrap and politely requesting that nobody sneeze too hard near Caitlin.
But then there was the injury report, says questionable with the left leg issue. She winds up missing the game. Clark chalked it up to tightness in the leg. She plays the next day at Iowa. Of course, a significant game for the preseason considering what it meant to the fan base there. So she probably pushed through maybe a little bit more than they would have had that had been any other game. But nonetheless, a solid indicator that there's nothing really wrong and it's not overly concerning. And she's also participating.
Meanwhile, Stephanie White is holding emergency tryouts in the parking lot. Can you dribble? Do you have both ankles? Great, suit up. At this rate, the Fever might have to call in a substitute from the Indiana Pacers or see if Tamika Catchings is available for one last run. And let's not ignore the fact that this entire situation has become prime content. Every talking head on every sports panel is frothing at the mouth. ESPN's running a special called Anklegate: The Caitlin Chronicles. Somewhere, Skip Bayless is already blaming LeBron James for this somehow. And some podcast host in a basement is already predicting Caitlin's retirement and launch of her new podcast called Ice Packs and Disrespect. But for real, let's hope it's minor. Because love her or loathe her, Caitlin Clark moves the needle. She's the player your cousin from Iowa won't shut up about. She's the reason your dad suddenly knows who the Connecticut Sun are. She's turning casuals into fanatics and haters into hate watchers. And if the WNBA knows what's good for business, they'll do everything short of summoning a healing wizard to make sure she's 100% by tip-off.
And he has a podcast called The Fieldhouse Files, which I will put in the link below if you are interested in hearing the entire podcast. We're just going to go over some of the highlights from the podcast that I thought were interesting. One of which being how Ryan Rucco feels Caitlin's ascent has been a bit underrated for like what she's actually accomplished in the league. So let's just take a listen.
I think Caitlin knows that Rebecca, Holly, and I have really taken great care to try and tell her story accurately. And
until then, all eyes remain glued to the trainer's table like it's the NBA Finals of sports medicine. Will Caitlin Clark rise from the tape like a phoenix? Not just any phoenix, but one reborn with a reinforced ankle brace, a vengeance-fueled three-point shot, and a nation's collective hopes wrapped around her foot like kinesiology tape? Will Kelsey Mitchell orthopedic textbooks be damned, defy every known law of ligament recovery, and still put up 25 like it's just another Tuesday? The questions swirl louder than the arena crowd. But while we wait, someone, anyone, please treat Caitlin's ankle like the national treasure it is. Slide it into a hyperbaric chamber, swaddle it lovingly in bubble wrap, put on some Beethoven to calm the inflammation, light a lavender candle, and whisper sweet nothings to it like, "We need you. America needs you. Angel Reese especially needs you." Because the WNBA isn't just heating up, it's a full-blown soap opera in sneakers, and we need all our stars standing. Literally.
I'm trying to find any of like the Fever aggregation accounts, and I mean, they're just showing the Scott Agnes clip of Caitlin Clark kind of moving and relocating, but she looks okay. She looks okay. Like, she's still moving okay, getting in and out. And again, like, you might be saying she doesn't look as fast as normal, but she still looks fine.
And Fever fans, take a deep breath, light a candle, maybe even build a tiny shrine out of foam fingers and old season tickets. Heck, toss in a pair of worn-out sneakers as a sacrifice to the ever-unpredictable basketball gods. Because if Caitlin Clark doesn't suit up for that Sky game, we're not getting a WNBA Classic. We're getting a footnote in sports history labeled Missed Opportunity. And let's be brutally honest, no one clears their Saturday schedule for load management and sideline towel waves. We tuned in for chaos, on-court rivalries, buzzer-beating drama, and that moment when someone stares down their defender and screams, "She can't guard me!" loud enough to send shockwaves through Twitter. Caitlin's ankle, though. Yeah, it had other plans for a moment, but maybe all it needed was some ice, a pep talk, and a break from carrying half the state of Indiana's hopes and dreams. Because the court is ready, the cameras are rolling, and every popcorn kernel is primed for detonation. So here's hoping the ankle was just trolling us, building suspense like a pro. Because if Clark walks into that game with that signature fire in her eyes, we're not just getting a game, we're getting a showdown.